Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to have Commissioner Rice lead us in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. We're going to have a roll call.
Commissioner Patrick,
Here.
Commissioner Rice,
Here.
Commissioner Trejo,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw Williams,
Here.
Chairman Springs.
Here, communications from staff.
Yes, Chairman. I would just like to announce that, sad to announce that one of our planners recently left the city to go move to Florida, Marissa Fuel. She left sometime in the past month, and she left for a position out there and mainly to be closer to family.
She'll be missed.
Okay. And then I believe the chairman also wanted to make a statement regarding our recent attendance at the Philadelphia APA National Planning Conference.
Thank you, Ms. Wilcox. We have a special guest here this evening, our Honorable Mayor, Mayor Butts, and we have something for you. And we would like to present this to you along with the other city council members. And it's a letter of thanks, and I want to read it to you. Mayor James Butts and city council members, this letter is to thank you for your continuing support, trust, and dedication in allowing us to attend the National Planning Conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania from April 1st to the 4th of 2023. In allowing us to attend this conference, we receive valuable information which in turn allow us to better serve our communities and our individual districts. The conference held various classes, which includes, one of them in particular, Beyond Historic Listings, Preserving Unpresented History. This can be applied to our downtown area of Inglewood, particularly Market Street. Secondly, we felt one of the best classes that we attended was the 2023 Trend Report, The Future is Now. As planning commissioners, we feel the support of the mayor and city council is the utmost importance. In closing, again, we thank you for making Inglewood the leader in training and education. And to use your quote, what has changed in Inglewood? Everything. From the commissioners and the chairman, we want to present you with this letter to actually give to the other council members as well. Okay, thank you, sir.
You know what? I will get it for you. You want to give him the folder?
Yes.
That's your copy. Thank you very much.
I would just like to say briefly that I found it fascinating that she mentioned one of the classes on historic preservation, because basically what we've been doing for the last 10 or 11 years is creating history in the city, building stadiums, arenas. Hopefully we'll be able to improve our transit system and leave things behind that 50, 60, 70 years from now, people will be marveling at, because we were able to transform the city. And the council, really appreciate the work that you do because you're involved in the integration of the new with the old while preserving traditions. And so I want to thank all of you for your work, for the time that you spend. And I wish I could have gone to Philadelphia.
That was a good time.
Take care, you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Okay, public comments regarding agenda items. Person wishing to address the Planning Commission on any items on the agenda other than the public hearing may do so at this time. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we're going to close that segment. And number 5, Madam Secretary.
Item 5A, a public hearing to consider an application by Judy Lee for special use permit number 2022-011, SP 2022-011 to allow the construction of a new self-storage facility and a reduced parking requirement through alternate modes of transportation on an M1L limited manufacturing zone property at 3846 West Century Boulevard.
Chairman Springs and Commission, the file is present and notice has been given in the form and manner as required by law. Staff received no correspondence from the public on this item, and Assistant Planner Angel Leon Martel is present to do a short staff presentation. And he's also going to integrate his design review presentation here as well.
Hi, good evening, Chairman Springs and members of the Planning Commission. On page 5 of the staff report, second paragraph, first line, under the title Security, the amount of security cameras is spelled out as 16, but the number shown as 25. It should have been written as 25, as consistent with conditions in the resolution. November of 2020, the City of Inglewood adopted a zoning amendment to modify self-storage facility regulations citywide. The zoning code amendment specified which zones would permit self-storage facilities with an SUP approval, required a new finding specific to self-storage facilities, and required a minimum lot size for development or expansion of a self-storage facility. The subject site for the SUP request is located at 3846 West Century Boulevard and has an industrial general plan designation with limited manufacturing zoning. The subject site is located on the south side of Century Boulevard with Hollywood Park across the street to the north. The Intuit Dome is adjacent to the site along the south and east portions. A hotel use is located to the west of the site. The property is currently developed with an existing self-storage facility that was built in 1987. The applicant is proposing to construct an approximately 335,000 square foot, 6-story self-storage facility. The structure is proposed to contain 2,424 self-storage lockers ranging in size from 25 to 300 square feet. The proposed facility will operate daily between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. An on-site manager will be present in the rental office during the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. The city currently has 7 active business licenses for self-storage facilities with an additional facility currently under construction. Details on the facilities are in Table 1 of the staff report. The proposed facility is designed to meet the regulations and standards set forth in the M1L zone. Within the front setback, the applicant is proposing several trees, including 4 aloe barberry trees, 5 desert museum trees, and drought-tolerant landscaping. Vehicular access is provided by 2 driveways along Century Boulevard. Also, landscaping will be installed at the side and rear yards. The building is designed with 1 primary pedestrian entrance. The proposed elevation integrate composite and box rib metal panels using various colors. Fixed spandrel and insulated glass in anodized aluminum framing is used throughout the building elevations. Concrete masonry block walls and anodized natural aluminum are incorporated into the storefront. The proposed design is consistent with the M1L limited manufacturing zone standards, which require the build-in of durable materials. Inglewood Municipal Code requires 1 parking space per 2,000 square feet for self-storage facilities and 1 parking space per 300 square feet for office space. The applicant is requesting approval of a parking reduction through an alternative modes analysis to provide a total of 46 parking spaces for the project. The parking reduction analysis was submitted by the applicant and prepared by a registered civil engineer in July of 2022. This analysis used parking surveys conducted at similar self-storage facilities in the South Bay and parking demand surveys that were conducted at a similar self-storage facility located in Inglewood and nearby Los Angeles. The analysis provided 3 parking rates at which the required parking could be calculated and found that the proposed project would satisfy the anticipated parking demand. Staff performed site visits to 2 of the existing self-storage facilities located in Inglewood and in LA during weekday and weekend peak hours described in the parking study to verify the numbers provided. As part of this request, the Planning Commission will be required to make a finding that the self-storage facility is designed to be compatible with surrounding developments and will serve as an enhancement to its neighborhood setting. As conditioned, staff has determined that the proposed self-storage facility will comply with the new storage facility finding and all general SUP findings, and that it will provide a needed amenity for the existing and forthcoming residential communities. Therefore, the proposed facility will serve as an enhancement to its neighborhood setting and will be compatible with the surrounding development. If the Planning Commission approves this request, the applicant will be required to complete the design review process. The applicant has submitted an application for design review, which is included on today's agenda as item 6A. Vehicular and pedestrian access will be provided via Century Boulevard. The site can be directly accessed via Century. The facade will be complementary to the buildings on Century Boulevard. The proposed landscaping is compliant with the design guidelines. As conditioned, the applicant will maintain the property in proper condition. Thus, the project is consistent with the design review findings too. If approved, the applicant will also be required to complete the site plan review process. The applicant is proposing to install 25 security cameras throughout the interior and exterior of the building. The proposed facility will not alter the character or use of the area and will be compatible with surrounding uses. Staff has received no comments from the public for or against the project. The proposed project is consistent with the city's active transportation plan and climate action plan. The proposed project is consistent with the industrial land use designation and is exempt from further environmental review. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions the commission might have. The applicant is also available to answer any questions and wishes to address the commission with a short presentation.
Okay, thank you, Angel. We're going to open up for questions for you. We're going to start with Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you. I just have one question. You mentioned that that the staff did an on-site visit to 2 of the current existing storage areas. What 2 did you visit?
The existing facility at 3846 West Century, and then the facility that was described in Los Angeles, I'm forgetting the address, but it's listed in the staff report as the facility that's, I think it's the only facility in Los Angeles.
Okay. Thank you. I haven't any other questions. I will reserve them to talk to the applicant. Thank you.
Commissioner Rice.
I'm looking at the square footage of the building itself, but I wasn't able to identify how many actual storage units, individual units would be built.
That's 2,424 individual storage units.
2,424 individual rental spaces that will be leased to potential people coming to the storage.
To the public, to clients, yes. Mhm.
And I'll make sure I clearly understand that the parking requirement for that is 179 spaces.
That is, yes, that's the city's standard based on the size of the gross floor of the building.
Asking to reduce that to 1/4 of that, to 46 spaces.
Per the, it's not that we asked them to reduce it, they submitted a parking traffic study, and during the parking study, they used several methods of analysis, and they concluded that 46 was actually, they can speak more to it, but
I'll ask the applicant about
yeah.
that. One last question. The line of sight from the Intuit Dome and from, I think it's Cork and Batter, the restaurant there. This is going to be 6 stories high, and I think I went out and looked today, and it looks like the top of the Clippers Dome there is going to be maybe 2 stories less. And Cork and Batter is, I think, 3 stories less. So this building, if it's elevated to 6 stories, it's going to block the views from both of those buildings, the deck of Cork and Batter, as well as any view that you may have from the Intuit Dome. Is that correct?
It'll definitely affect the site, the view, basically.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Commissioner Trio.
Yes, thank you. And I'm not sure whether you can answer it, but I'll put it out there so either you or the applicant can respond to it. When you conducted when the parking survey was conducted, did they take into consideration the new units that are across the street at Hollywood Park? Or did they just do it with the existing situation where a lot of those units are not yet completed or occupied?
Yeah, the study did incorporate future demand, but I'll defer to the applicant to answer that in more detail.
Okay. And then I have a question. I just want you to confirm that the existing storage units are going to be demolished.
Yeah, so there's currently an existing facility there. It's a self-storage facility. The same operator owns it. And they're basically going to raise the site, so all the buildings will be demolished, and this new facility will be built.
How many units were there? Storage units?
I believe it was about 545. Yeah, about 550.
And with how many parking spaces?
5 parking spaces.
5 parking spaces?
Yeah, 5 existing parking spaces to the public.
And were all of those units full or occupied?
I believe they were around 95, 96%. They like, from my talking to the applicant, they like to keep 5% availability.
Okay. And then one other question. Your staff report and the justification letter have different numbers as far as parking. The justification letter says that there are 148 required and that there are 43 proposed. Staff report says 179 required and 46 provided.
Yes, the the parking requirement that I got was based on the 335,000 gross square footage found on the plans. And I believe that the report, I think, had a different uh, gross area, but maybe we can, get back to that.
Yeah, I'd like to, like to
Yeah.
get that cleared up. And I also am concerned about the view being blocked and if there's anything that could potentially avoid the view being blocked so much. But
Okay.
I'll let the applicant respond to that. Let me just see. Oh, another question. How many employees are there going to be? Because I noticed condition number 3 says that the roof terrace is only for employees.
Yeah, so that's going to be like like a regional office. There is one on-site manager, and then I don't know how many employees will be hired to man the building, but we can certainly check.
Okay,
with
so
them.
that's a question that I'd like answered. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw Williams?
Yes, I'm going to reserve my questions for the applicant. Thank you.
I have no questions. I'm going to reserve my questions for the applicant as well. Thank you, Angel. If the applicant is here, can you go to the mic in the back, give us your name, and tell us about your project?
Good evening. Is this on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. I'm Elia Thompson. I'm a land use attorney with Venable. I'll wait. We have a presentation, a PowerPoint, so let me just wait for a second and have them
Angel.
get it up. So this is a little unusual, but when I explain myself, you'll know why my opening is a little unusual. We want to take a moment and recognize one of our team members. Ashley Lawrence was our on-site manager at the current Extra Space Storage. She worked with us in communicating the development of the site with our customers, and she provided information to city staff at various points in this process. Ashley was going to be a part of our team tonight, but over the weekend, she was involved in a fatal car accident. She died early Sunday morning. We wanted to acknowledge her bright spirit and contribution to our team as she personally gathered the signatures from our customers in support of our new building, and she worked to ensure constant communication with our team, our customers, and the city. She leaves behind 2 boys, aged 5 and 17, and we wanted to take a moment to pause and remember her. Thank you. Thank you very much. The rest of our team here tonight include the following, and I'm going to have them just kind of wave their hands so that they know who I'm talking to in case you do have a question for them specifically. Kim Wetzel is our district manager. Danny Morris and John Bennett are from Extra Space Corporate Headquarters. Jim Goodman is our architect. Bill Strand is our civil engineer. And Judy Lee and I are the land use consultants. I want to start by saying that this is the most high-profile project in Extra Space's portfolio. This site is corporate owned. This new building is intended to be the flagship property for Extra Space and will serve as a model for future Extra Space facilities. So going to the benefits, no, go back, please. The benefits of self-storage. There's always a need in every community. Lighter traffic and parking needs compared there's lighter traffic and parking needs compared to other retail and office uses. I know you had a lot of questions about that. We'll get into that a little bit more. But just so you know, 11% of the households across the entire country use self-storage services, and that number is higher for apartment and condo dwellers. Many small businesses rely on self-storage to house short-term inventory that they need to have quick access to in order to maintain their customer base. And this is especially important for small businesses that are located solely online. And this has become even more important since COVID. So I just want all of you to know that Extra Space has been a community stakeholder for 22 years at this site. We serve our customers at times of stress and upheaval. Go on to. And as I stated, 15% of our customers are small businesses. Many of them are here in Inglewood and surrounding communities. If we could go to the next slide, we have, so this gentleman has been a long-term customer of Extra Space. He has a couple different bookstores, and he utilizes Extra Space self-storage and has for years. To keep inventory for his books so that he can quickly get them, especially if something becomes a lot more popular than what he thought. He can go over, and grab his books and not have to wait for a truckload to come in from some other place, 2 weeks later. We have a lot of clients that are like this. Next slide. Extra Space is a leader in utilizing solar and other green power initiatives. Certainly don't expect all of you to read the fine print, but on this slide, we just wanted to detail how innovative they are with solar and green power. And this building will utilize solar power and will be in compliance with all of the current Green Building Code requirements. We also work with a lot of our community partners on a number of philanthropic ventures. Next slide. Here's the current building site. As you can see from the next few slides, we are not currently utilizing this space. Oh, I'm sorry. I kind of went a little ahead of myself. Yeah, just go to the next one. Yeah. As you can see from the next few slides, we're not utilizing this space to the highest capability. It is an older, low-rise, two-story plain stucco building with many drive-up units as well as a bunch of interior ones. So we've spent the last 3 to 4 years re-envisioning this space and have created a 6-story, beautiful state-of-the-art facility with lots of glass and metal to provide articulation and break up the massing on multiple sides. You could go to the next. That's the current site. Keep going, and that's all the interiors and stuff. And this is the planned new facility. Next slide. And as you'll see, with this design, we're increasing capacity at the same exact site 5 times what we currently have. But by utilizing current code requirements, as I said, this new building will be far more energy efficient, far more efficient in terms of traffic and circulation, have much more enhanced landscaping. Next slides. Keep going. And provide overall greater aesthetics to the streetscape for pedestrian flow, safety, and enjoyment than is currently provided on the site. Keep going. That's the current one. And next slide. And that's what it will look like. Same exact location as what we previously showed. Also, as stated, in our new project, we include office space for our own corporate use. It will be a regional office space for West Coast California meetings, roughly 3,000 square feet with terrace space on the top floor. Has been designed and set aside. This will be used for Extra Space employees. We also will have 2 residential units. So we always have on-site managers at all times, so 2 separate apartment units. And you can continue to go to the next few slides just to show that that's the current streetscape of what's there and what we plan. So we're excited to be here tonight. I have a couple of answers to the questions that I remembered that were asked, so I'll just go through those, and then I'm here for any other questions. One question was about view from the restaurant. We are 20 feet set back. We have spoken extensively to Cork and Batter, and we are not going to be blocking their views because the building is set back significantly from the street. And we are currently in the process, and we can talk about parking more in depth because I know that was an area that all of you wanted to talk about. But when we looked at the parking study, and by the way, cities all across California are doing this because, again, the way we calculate parking for self-storage, just the way cities do across the state, really isn't very accurate. You very rarely have more than 3 or 4 people. As it was said earlier, At most, we have 4 or 5 cars there at any given time, and that's including on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. People have all different schedules. This fits in sometimes with people dropping the kids off at school and going back and getting a few things. This happens, moving. Moving day can be on any 31st of any month, so it can be on any Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. And then small businesses, they come and go, throughout the day and night. So it's just not, it's not realistic. It's just not the way it is in terms of the world of self-storage to have more than a few cars at any given time. So in our parking study, although we're providing 46 parking spaces, I want to make it very clear that the parking study actually recommended providing 27 parking spaces. And so when we went back to the city and we've talked to some of the city council members about this, they said, well, if you do have excess parking space, will you talk to your neighbor about helping them, perhaps providing some parking for valet services? And absolutely. And we're actually in talks and discussions right now. This gentleman sitting over here handles the valet for Cork and Batter, and we've been talking extensively with him as to what we can provide in the agreement that we can go into with them. So I know it sounds a little strange to think that there's that much square footage and there's only that much need. But again, this is the norm. There's very little parking that's required. The parking studies bear that out, and to the extent that we can, provide agreements and utilize that space, we'd like to do so, especially in the evenings when we're closed and we're certainly not going to be using, any of the parking space. Sorry, I don't remember the other questions, but I'm here to answer any questions. And like I said, I've got the whole team here.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to start up questions for you from all of our commissioners. We're going to start off with Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Yes, ma'am. It's Elia, Elia Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You continue to talk about your parking study. This is Century Boulevard. Did you do a traffic study at all?
I'm going to ask Judy Lee to come up here because she has been very instrumental in all of this. So if Judy could come up here and.
We do have a VMT analysis that was done in connection with our CEQA analysis, and Public Works determined that there aren't going to be any significant impacts that require mitigation measures. And so accordingly, that's why staff determined that the project qualifies for the infill exemption, and that's part of their recommendation.
I can't hear you.
Can you talk into the mic?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We did do a VMT analysis as part of our CEQA documentation, and Public Works determined that the, that the additional traffic, the additional trips aren't going to require mitigation measures, and accordingly, part of the staff report is an exemption from CEQA.
And Commission, just wanted to clarify, VMT stands for Vehicle Miles Traveled.
What will be your hours of operation? When will the storage facility be open?
I have that. Just give me one quick moment.
It's in there. It's already in there. 96.
I think our hours of what we intend are actually a little less than what we're being approved. So initially, our hours are 9:30 to 6, Monday through Friday.
I'm Danny Morris. I'm with Extra Space Storage. So we have hours for the office, and then we have hours for the gate. The gate access is 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that's 7 days a week. And the office hours are 9:30 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30 on Saturday. So those are our usual times for operations.
And I heard Elia mention that there will be on-site managers.
Yes, we
I
do.
didn't get the number. And what will be their hours of employment? When will they be working?
Well, the hours of operation are 9 to 6, basically, and we have 2 apartments. They are residential units. This is allowed both by state law as well as your building code to have residential units in self-storage facilities where they will live and reside. So they're not on call 24/7. I mean, obviously they have a life and they can sleep and eat and do whatever they want to do. But there will be somebody who's on site in the event that there's any kind of issue that needs that person's attention.
For the
Speak
si-
right in, no, speak right in there.
I'm sorry. For the size of the facility, it'll probably have an additional, probably three to four additional assistant managers will be at the store as well.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rice.
Need a clarification first, Mrs. Thompson, with reference to the 3,000 square foot office space. You said that was for corporate use, or
Yes, sir.
is there a community benefit for that office space being there, that you mentioned it?
There's not at this point. I don't know that we're opposed to that because it's certainly not going to be something that's used all the time, but it was something that we wanted to put, again, as I stated, that they intend this to be the flagship corporate office and the flagship model for Extra Space. And it does have the sixth floor terrace as part of the office space that they can, utilize it for meetings and group conferences and that sort of stuff.
As far as a community benefit, I've been in coordination with Councilwoman Falk, and we'd be open to sharing the space for any community initiative or community benefit outside of our corporate use. So it's not going to be open to, we're not going to lease it out. It's going to be strictly for meetings and just our flex office type setting at this stage. And it could, into the future, it could change a little bit with further staffing. It just depends on the market.
So for now, basically your answer to the question is no, but it can be negotiated later.
No, I think the answer is we've talked to the council members, and the answer is we're open to it. We just haven't. It's not planned at this point, but we're certainly open to it.
Okay, question for staff. I understand there's an offset with reference to Cork and Batter, but I think it's directly in front of the Intuit Dome. And if I remember correctly, I think that's where the Intuit Dome is going to place the community basketball courts, directly behind there. Is that correct?
Yes, approximately behind that area.
Is there a benefit to the community basketball court area for this, with this 6-story building being directly in front of it?
The site plan that we have, actually, Jim, if you want to come and mention this, I actually thought that was the back entrance of the dome directly behind. So there's a access road that's right behind there, but that's on the opposite side, I think, of the site plan for the dome.
Yeah, the information we have from working with the Intuit Dome people with the design is that all that public basketball court is down at the corner of Prairie and Century. And we're fortunate enough to be next to the service entrance. So that's where but so it's not blocking any of the public facilities.
Okay, I just saw it on one of my plans, and maybe they put it in the wrong place. They listed it as community basketball courts behind your building.
Angel, if you could go to a site plan slide.
Well,
I can
we can
show you
just,
where it is.
if it were there, you don't have a community benefit for with the building being there. That's my question. It doesn't benefit that if it were there.
So if it's to place at ease, we will work to have benefits there. And I've had some really good conversations with Councilwoman Falk about this. So if we're able to move forward, this will be a continued conversation, and we can work and figure out a situation that does work. And we're excited about that. We're excited about those opportunities for us being this project, and we're excited to be contributing stakeholder in the community in doing so. So just kind of giving you a commitment that we're willing to work. We spent 3 years in kind of working through, planning department, getting feedback, going through design iterations to arrive at where we're at. So I think we've shown some goodwill that we have an ear. We definitely listen, and just making commitments moving forward that will definitely contribute.
Another question for staff. Mrs. Thomas suggested that the calculations for the parking spaces with reference to storage facility is flawed and it probably should be changed. Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, over the years, when we have looked at other jurisdictions and the parking demand of the storage facilities, our rate does seem high, in line with a lot of other cities, but still higher than the reality.
This area for us near the Hollywood Park Casino, SoFi, and Intuit is a very, very sensitive area for us. And that's why we're really concerned about the over demand that may happen in this area for parking, and you may not have it available. If you have 2,400, almost 2,500 people or spaces that are available. If you had 100% occupancy, of the 2,500 almost spaces you have available, if 150 people showed up on a Saturday morning, I'm concerned that they wouldn't be able to park on site, which leads to the next question, and then you can answer for me. If they were to park off-site, could they enter the facility just as a walk-on with their password or passcode?
So a couple things. First of all, let me go to your last question. Yes, they can. And it's not about parking offsite. I mean, people do use public transportation and come to self-storage facilities all the time. I mean, we have lots of data about that in multiple cities and jurisdictions all over the country. People use metro and buses to come and look at stuff. I mean, there are a lot of people that use small storage units to come trade out, spring clothes for fall clothes for winter clothes, and they don't necessarily drive. I know that speaking to a room full of Southern Californians, it's a foreign thought process, but a lot of people do use public transportation, come in, and yes, they may use their code key, their pass capability, and utilize our site without driving on. We actually,
And you understand why I asked that question, because
I do understand why you asked that question, and I understand that it's a scenario that is in your head that is of concern to you, and I hear you. But again, I do a lot of self-storage projects, Extra Space. Now that they've just recently are combining with Life Storage and taking Life Storage over, they're going to be the biggest. They are the biggest self-storage company in the country, and Danny has hundreds of self-storage projects under his belt, and we have never had a situation where hundreds of people converge onto a self-storage site, even a big one, and suddenly want access all at the same time. Again, keep in mind, yes, there are 2,500 units, sir, but a lot of these units are rented, multiple units are rented by the same person. So it's not as though you have 2,500 individuals with their units coming in every week. Sometimes people get a unit and they don't come but twice a year.
okay, I understand we're increasing your capacity by 5 times, so I'm concerned.
Understood.
further
And
questions.
I did want to answer one more thing that you kind of threw out there, but just so you know, we know how important this avenue is to Inglewood, frankly, how important it is to Southern California and perhaps the entire state and region, which is why we took so much effort and are designing such a beautiful building. We want there to be a pedestrian feel when they walk by the building, which, if we don't get approval, we're going to continue with the 2-story dilapidated stucco, not dilapidated, sorry, but out of date stucco facility that just, it's not the prettiest, it's not the sharpest, and it doesn't have cameras that we're working. We've reached out to the local PD and Sergeant, pardon? LaGreek, to discuss how we can, work with them in the event that they ever need to have some extra eyes on the street. And so those cameras will, come in handy for local law enforcement. We did also, sir, we did reach out to Intuit Dome, Wilson Meany, And we updated them with our conceptual designs as it went forward, and they have expressed early support, monitored our progress, and again, it's our understanding, and Judy has a picture, although she can't pop it up on the screen for you, but the basketball courts are significantly up and more towards the corner. They do not go directly behind our building in any way.
Thank you. No further questions, Chairman.
Commissioner, on that point, just wanted to clarify, I did misspeak. The basketball courts are near the corner of Century and Prairie. And so behind this building, in addition to the service entrance, is just a portion of the arena.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Trio?
I think there was just one question that remains that has not yet been answered as to the number of employees that will be on site if approved.
I mean, our plan is to hire about 5 or 6 people. I don't think in general they have more than about 3 on site. But again, it fluctuates a little bit, Commissioner, because again, you know, if there's a need, they'll have more. And certainly, let's just say hypothetically, there's an office meeting conference with 20 people coming in, 20, 30 people coming in from extra space storage. We might have a day where we have 35 employees on site, right? So I don't want to necessarily misconstrue that, but in general, we're anticipating 5, 6, 7 employees with, you know, 3 on site at any given time.
And how often do you anticipate like corporate meetings where potentially up to 35 people can come on site?
I mean, in general, there's probably at least quarterly meetings. I mean, again, we don't anticipate it being significant. If you're thinking in terms of, you know, mass number of employees coming and parking issues and that kind of stuff, but we do intend to utilize the space. It just is not going to happen on a particularly regular weekly basis. But, you know, certainly every now and then. I mean, again, Inglewood's hot. People want to come here, so you know, we may have more conferences than we think. But again, these are small conferences, employees only. You know, 20 folks or so.
I hope that you do encourage like rideshare or something when you have employees coming in. I'd hate to have them taking up 35 parking spaces. So I'm putting that out there. And the corporate offices or the corporate meeting space, is that going to be off of the roof terrace?
Yes, so that's the 6-story. So if you're looking at the elevations or the renderings, you'll see that sits right off of Century, those views. So that it's got an office feel to those elevations. And
Right.
if I can add something real fast to answer your question about the apartments and employees, we don't have 2 apartments in our portfolio. This is the one store that we recognize that it's going to be important to have really good store managers who have housing there and can place support. And so in addition to that, we're going to have assistant managers as we see the need. Kim was nodding her head like, hey, we're probably 3 or 4. That's probably where we're going to be sitting for assistant managers plus the full-time managers that are on site.
So about 5 to 7. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard you mention that you've been in touch with Intuit Dome, with Cork and Batter, with all of the Wilson Meany, all of the stakeholders in the area, which I think is great because, you know, as you know, everybody wants to be in Inglewood now. And we have some very, very important stakeholders that are taking Inglewood forward. So I hope that you will be in constant communication when anything, if anything, comes up, and be willing to work with them and also the community if there comes a time when they may want to utilize a space for a meeting or something.
We've done.
And the council office. I almost forgot the council office.
I just want to reiterate that we've been working over 3 years. This isn't a concept that we brushed overnight to give to you. We've had multiple points of input. And the reason why I'm saying this is it's a commitment of ours to continue to work together to figure out what is best with our use and also to serve the community. So I'm hoping that we've had some goodwill in addressing it early so we can move forward and say, hey, we can do this hand in hand moving together, because it is a special location and we definitely recognize that, and we're excited about it.
That's great. And also, of course, your next door neighbor, Cork and Batter, to work with them with parking and anything else that they may need. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw Williams?
Well, most of my concerns and questions that I had have been answered. And one of my questions was, did you reach out to Cork and Batter to talk to them with regards to you doing this new construction and building and sightline for their rooftop? And you've answered that. And if I understand correctly, the rooftop, there will be no obstruction of their view. That's wonderful, and I do like the fact that you're partnering with them for parking, because I do know I frequent that restaurant quite often.
We
and
all ate there tonight before we came here.
Yeah, it's very good, and I know sometimes parking can be an issue for them, so I'm really happy to hear that you guys are going to be working together with that. I have no further questions. I think the building is beautiful, and what you're doing and bringing to Inglewood is wonderful. Thank you.
If I may, I had one last thing I forgot. We had about 40, 50 signatures of our current customers. Unfortunately, with the tragic accident this weekend with Ashley, we didn't get them into the city on Monday when we thought we would, but they were included in our presentation. I know Angel has them, and so we just wanted you to know that we have reached out extensively to our own customers. They were happy that this was going to be a much more updated, more beautiful. Again, a lot of our people, you know, they live in Inglewood, so they want to see this site developed, and we've even had a couple comments like, hey, it looks like Google's moving to Inglewood. So, you know, if you hear that rumor, I didn't start it, but, you know. So that's, we had about 5 or 6 of these pages that Ashley put together, and like I said, we meant to send them Monday, but you got them tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a few questions for you. One of my questions has to do with, you have a total of 2,424 spaces. And out of those over 2,000 spaces, what's the capacity of your rental? What is the percentage that you're renting those spaces?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood your question.
Okay, I have 2,424 spaces to be rented out.
Yes.
What is your percentage of you renting those out?
All I can tell you right now, we're at 96% occupied.
You're 90% occupied.
So that is our current. We look at metrics, we look at growth patterns, we look at population. Obviously, we gave you some numbers saying, hey, 11% of households utilize. We, anticipate, well, actually, the store shows us that about 67% of our customers are Inglewood residents. So we're looking at your growth too. Everybody else in the United States is looking at your growth, and outside the United States. But we're saying that this proposal. Obviously, we're not gonna be overnight, but we have a lease up period, and we expect a stabilization that's gonna be in that 90% range.
And can you tell us, where do you have another space, extra space nearby in the county of Los Angeles?
The closest one, we have a facility in Inglewood.
Kim,
Can
come
you-
over here.
Please give us your name, please.
Hi, my name's Kim Wetzel. We have another facility that we run in Inglewood off of Hyde Park Boulevard. We also have various facilities throughout the area. So if we're talking about South Los Angeles, we have 2 facilities at the cross streets of Slauson and Western. One that's directly on Slauson, the other one on Western, but they're kitty corner to each other. We have them more closer off of La Cienega Boulevard as well as Centinela. So we have them throughout the Los Angeles area.
And this question is directed to staff. Did we not approve a storage space on 102nd, I believe, or was it 104th? Not far from where this one is, this site is
Yes, on
proposed?
102nd.
102nd. So it's in the same 100 block, like 3800 blockers. Am I correct in saying that?
I can confirm the address, but it's within a block or two on 102nd.
Can you tell us if it is a 6-story building as well?
We'll check on the number of stories. Angel has the address. The address is 3700 102nd. And we'll confirm the stories and get back to you.
Okay. And to the applicant, were you aware of this storage place that was within walking distance of your proposal?
Yes. Yeah. We actually know the developer quite
Okay.
well. I'm sorry. We know the developer quite well, and as we look at our, we call it saturation numbers per capita, that included those numbers that were coming in off of that.
Okay. Now, I'm listening to your presentation, and I've listened to the commissioners and what they had to say, the questions that they ask you, and I listened to your answers as well. But my question has to do with the community and how your space, your storage space, will benefit the community. I understand you're saying to me or to us that people are coming in and they're storing their clothes and whatever.
I heard it too.
So I'm just kind of concerned about the benefit that this particular extra space will be beneficial to the community, especially if we have one that's in walking distance. And you indicated that your capacity is about 90% fullness within a couple of years or within a year or so, it'll be at 90% capacity. So that's my concern that we're going to build another one. I'm also concerned about the restaurant that's a couple of doors down. I do hear that you're saying that there would not be any obstruction. That's what you're saying. But I'm not sure what's the setback. Can staff tell me what the setback on this particular building is? And will it have any obstruction to the new Clippers Arena as well?
Our setback is 20 feet, that I can say.
Yes, that's confirmed.
We actually, I don't know if it's required, but we are showing a 25-foot setback. That's how we designed it. And if Angel's able to go back, the renderings do show that our building is set back farther from the street and therefore will not block Cork and Batter's terrace. And they have seen the plans and taken a look at everything.
Will your building blend in with the new Clippers Arena? Will it blend in? Will it be a building that's, sometimes we see buildings and they just don't fit. Will your building be able to fit? I know we see the design of it, but would it fit with the Intuit Dome that they're building? Because it's a round structure and it has a look of a really nice modern look. Your building, from what I'm looking at, it's more of a, can you bring that back up again so we can take a look at it? I think it's more on a square shape. Yeah.
Well, so I would say that all the buildings along Century are square shaped, but that building, leave that one right there. We do utilize a lot of the glass and steel, various textured steels. That is very modern. I think it's compatible. I don't know that it matches Intuit Dome, but it certainly, I'm going to say this, it certainly matches Intuit Dome and modern architecture and technology, much more so than what's there today. And we definitely took into account, at the time, we were more taking into account SoFi because we had it there, we knew it, we could see it, we knew what the textures were to SoFi. But certainly, as we've designed it in recent months, looking at Intuit Dome and speaking to the Intuit Dome people, we believe that it very much fits in with its streetscape, far superior than what's there, and far superior, frankly, than any other storage facility that I've ever worked on.
Okay, thank you. My question is going to be directed to staff again. Upon the completion, if this is approved, then we complete this building, what would be the setback? What would be how far from the fence line would this structure be to the back fence, including parking? Are they utilizing the entire lot for their structure?
So they'll have a front yard of 25 feet. There will be like block walls and some ancillary equipment in that front yard, but the building itself is going to be set back 25 feet. Along the side yards, there's varied side yard setback, about 3 feet. On the rear, it varies again between like 2.5 to like 5 feet, varied setback. So there's a small setback, but per the code requirement, they're actually allowed to build on the side yards to the property line. And they are providing landscaping.
Okay, and my last question. In regards to parking, parking is an issue. I hear you saying that public transportation, but if I have something that I'm taking to the storage, I'm not going to take the bus. Not me. Maybe someone else may take the bus, but if I have clothes in suitcases, I'm going to put it in a car. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm assuming everyone else is going to do the same thing. I mean, we can take a poll and see, but normally that's what someone would do. Is if they're going to go to a storage area, they're going to take their vehicle because they're going to put it in their vehicle to take it to the storage area. So my colleague,
If I may, I was not meaning to be flipped before.
well, let me finish my, and then I can give you the floor, okay?
Sorry.
My colleague indicated in regards to parking, Commissioner Rice was talking about parking and how you'll be able to utilize that particular parking. Now, you indicated that you had gotten together with the restaurant. What's the name of it? Yes, thank you. And you guys are in agreement. So I'm assuming, this is an assumption, but I'm going to get with staff as well, that you're going to put something down on paper, an agreement for them to be able to use your facility as parking. Am I correct in saying that?
You are. I think I hesitate only because we weren't making a specific demand before this commissioner that we had to do this agreement and so forth. We had talked to staff. We think there's excess parking, and so to the extent that there's capacity or there are hours where we're closed, again, this gentleman's from Primo Valet Parking, who does the valet parking for the restaurant and others. So we would have the agreement for parking with whatever the valet company, and right now it's Primo, and to all extents and purposes, it's going to be Primo. We would have the agreement with them, and work anything out with them. Again, we can talk to staff about that. We weren't saying it had to be or it had to be right now. We can obviously have that conversation once the building gets built and everyone feels more comfortable with it.
So am I correct in saying that the parking will be inside the facility?
Yes, most of our parking is inside the facility. Yes, it will be secured.
So by eliminating some of the parking spaces, you're adding more rental spaces. I need some help on this.
Well, if you're talking about reducing it from the 170 some odd spaces to then going down to 46 parking spaces, yes, that does allow us to have some room to put in some additional units. And it also just allows us to have a better circulation rather than having a bunch of cramped parking spaces near each other. So it's twofold. We can build a few more units by not having as much parking. We also have better circulation because it's fewer parking spaces to maneuver in and out and have proper circulation.
You're pretty good at what you're saying here, but let me help you out a little bit. Parking spaces are generally the same size, and it's not going to be crammed. It's going to be the same size for each parking spot. But I'm just trying to illustrate to you that you asking us to cut down on some of the parking spaces so you can have more rental spaces. That's primarily what it is. Help me.
We'll help you. So if you turn to the site plan on one of the slides, I want to show you something that we built in as a contingency for parking, just in case we needed to be flexible. And on the first floor, you'll see that there are some drive-up units that if you imagine an ingress and egress from west to east going around in that big loop, those perimeter, can't tell what color that is, peach units that are around the outside, those are actually the size of parking spaces. So if we need to eliminate a row of units, drive-up units, we can convert them to parking. So we actually feel that existing right now that we're going to be way overparked. And we have 2,300 stores across the United States, and just experience with the size, sometimes it doesn't make sense, but with our parking analysis and the VMT, like we show max at the location currently, and it's still way overparked for even what we have now. So we can adapt to the need, and we can actually remove some of those units right there. So just want to give you something to help alleviate if there's any concern that we're just going to be way underparked.
Okay. Because you're asking us to, based upon our code, you're asking us to eliminate 133 parking spaces out of 179, and you want us to have 46. I mean, I don't know how that's benefiting the city and the surrounding areas as far as parking is concerned, especially if you're going to go and do something work with the restaurant next door. I'm going to get that name right sooner or later.
Can I share with you two needs, Chairman? So I'll give you the example of the two needs. We have this gentleman from Primo VP right here, who's awesome. They have a great operation. He's excited that there's a potential of having more parking to work with as a valet. Malik Brooks, who we provided on the slide, who has that bookstore, after I talked with him personally, he said, "Hey, is there any chance that you're going to have some drive-up units?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I would love that. I would love those drive-up units, and it would be easy for me to access. I don't have to go up some stairs." So I'm just giving you an example of the two different needs that we can be flexible with. So if we have some drive-up units, they're going to be, you know, premium business type units, or somebody that wants the ground floor as a drive-up. So that's the trade-off that we would be experiencing.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions.
If I may, sir, you told me I could have a second to correct if I appeared flip before about people using public transportation. I wasn't trying to be flip. You asked before if people could get access without driving and just walk up, and the answer was yes, they could. And I wanted to give you an example because it happens in many of the stores all across the country. People do actually walk up with a box, with some items, with a bag, with a suitcase, and take and go back on a bus, on however they do. So I wasn't trying to be flip, but a lot of people do actually show up for public transportation for small items.
Okay, I was just commenting on my Commissioner Rice when he indicated that what if someone came all at one time? I mean, how likely is that to happen? But it's a possibility. Okay, I have no other questions. I'm going to open it up for some final questions from our commissioners, and then we're going to make a decision on what we're going to do. No, I'm sorry. I know. Thank you. I was going to open it up. Any final questions, Commissioner? Okay.
I just have one quick question. Does Extra Space Storage have any storage areas in the Pasadena or downtown area currently?
Yes, we have several in both areas. We have several throughout both those areas. So whether you're talking about the Los Angeles corridor, Pasadena, Burbank, Glendale, along this area, we have several facilities in Santa Monica. We have Inglewood facilities, we have Hawthorne facilities, we have Redondo Beach facilities, all the way down to Long Beach. So throughout our division, we have approximately just over 100 stores in the Los Angeles market alone that Extra Space Storage manages or runs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Rice.
I'm just a bit concerned. Here in Inglewood, we work as a partnership with the community and our business sector. And I think you've talked about earlier, if you didn't get this approved, that you were just gonna leave the business the way it is, and we're gonna have to just look at what's there, as if there are no other alternatives other than getting this approved for you. And that concerned me. I'm thinking, with reference to your performer, if you have 35,000 square feet here, if you were to create 200,000 square feet, does that absolutely wreck your performer, considering it's still 3 times what you have right now?
So what you're describing is total square footage, and I'm sorry. You're describing total square footage, and we have to look at the efficiencies of our buildings and drive what's called net rentable square footage, and that depends on the store, the efficiencies, it can be stairway systems. They're all different in different drivers. This size of the store, if you even look comparable to other public storage facilities that are out there, you can see some that are 350, 400, 450,000 gross square feet. This is, for our portfolio, this is on the higher side for the square footage, but we show all the metrics are correct for the square footage. Our concern is if we go any smaller, it starts to put pressures on that return. And right now, it's right there. We have increasing escalations in construction costs. The longer that we've gone through the process, the more expensive it's gotten. So we're trying to play a balance there of what's the demand, what should we do, and what's that return. If we drop below that with the cost of capital also increasing, it gets very difficult. So this works for us. It would be increasingly difficult to go lower from where we're here.
If you were not to just cancel and go lower with your capacity, but you were to consider perhaps alternative revenue sources, we have an area there that has a tremendous demand for parking. I mean, many days I'm sure there are 20 games, if it's in the NFL alone, in which parking is at a premium at $300 per day for a space, and that's considerably more than you would receive from a rental space. If you would potentially put some of that parking online and then back out the construction space, a lot less expensive for you to build parking than it is to build storage space.
We're exploring. We have explored, and we're exploring parking structures. We have done that. There's other metrics to look at with that type of build. I mean, just right out of the gate, the load bearings are different for structural systems. Right now, we know what the soils we have to deal with for this construction, and it's actually a little more expensive than our traditional foundation. So we're trying to be creative, but also deal with some premiums that we have to deal with the ground as well. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but those are just the realities that we're trying to work through as we're playing the balances between, like, what's the highest and best use for our facility, how big should we go, and when I say big, like what makes sense that we can actually do that makes sense long term. And it's not just we're not just a developer that's 3 to 5 years and then we're out the door and you're stuck with your facility. We look at a 20-year type scenario, and we want to be that long-term owner and stakeholder in the community.
I understand that, and I appreciate it. It's just the corporate benefit and the community benefit, I mean, they have to level up.
I agree.
Okay. I just had one other question. I'm still waiting for that answer from staff with reference to the other facility and how many parking spaces we had there. Do you have that information? The one on 102nd Street?
Yes. It was 6 stories and 96,000 square feet. I do not have the number of parking spaces over there, but we will get that.
So it's much larger than this one is by
Smaller. It was 96,000 square feet. Same,
72,000 square feet.
smaller,
This one's
Lot size
72.
is 72,000 square feet.
Oh, the lot size.
it was a much smaller footprint for the building. So the total square footage of the building was 96,000 square feet
And it
in
has
6
not,
stories.
it has not been constructed yet.
No.
It's just approved.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Yes.
approved prior to this one, so once it comes online and this one comes online, then we have to calculate or consider if it's under a parking, was the parking reduced or did they meet the parking requirement also?
They had a parking study there as well for reduced parking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Trejo, you have any questions, any final questions?
Well, not related to parking. My question is, you are at approximately 95% full, and when if you're approved and you demolish the building, how are you going to handle your existing tenants? I'm not sure if that's what you call them, but how are you going to handle them?
They are our existing customers, and we have spent a lot of time just working that out. First of all, they've all been given notice that we are here tonight and that we are, attempting to repurpose, redevelop our site with a larger project. And we had discussed internally, I believe we're going to give them a 90-day notice, a 60-day notice, and a 30-day notice. And Kim, if there's anything I'm missing, multiple notices, and then work with them in terms of helping them find another extra space storage unit that might be nearby. If you drove down the 405 and were stuck in the quagmire that I was coming down here, there's an extra space storage right there, close to the airport on the other side, on the 405 northbound side. There are other extra space storage areas. And again, while about 65 to 68% of our users, our customers, are Inglewood residents, a lot of them aren't. So directing them to other stores, helping them get, discounts for them to relocate are all the things that we've been working on. But we have made it very clear that this is coming. And again, we've had really positive input from people. I mean, they like the design. They want to see the site, revamped, and they know we've been there 22 years and we intend to be there another 22, 30, 40 years. So we have done a lot of outreach is my short answer, my long version.
Do you anticipate them coming back to this facility if it's approved?
Very much so. Very much so, especially the small businesses. Absolutely. One of the things that you didn't get to see on my slide, and this taught me a good lesson not to put too much on one slide because it's a little overwhelming, but one of the slides is that we're ranked #1 in customer service time and time again in all of the major rankings for that. And that's done by actual surveys of self-storage users. So people like us. They like there's a reason why we're at the top of the food chain, if you will, of self-storage. People like us. They want to continue to use us. And they've said that they will relocate for the period of time to another extra space and come back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Shaw Williams, do you have any final questions?
Yes. How many signatures, again, did you gather in favor of your project?
There were 4 slides and there are 5 signatures each. So I guess there's 20 that was there. We were working on more. And didn't get them in, and obviously we were trying to get more. But so there's 20 that are there.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you very much. And at this particular point, we want to open it up for anyone who's for this project or against this project. You can come to the mic and give us your name. Are we at the library as well? Ms. Wilcox? Okay. Are we online as well? So just here. Okay. Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close this segment. And I need a motion for this particular project. I'm sorry.
answer prior, Chairman?
Okay, yes. Yes, thank you.
In regards to the parking at the other facility, yes, they had a parking reduction through alternative modes. The parking requirement per code was 51 and it was reduced to 10.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilcox. Thank you, Bernard. Okay, you guys heard everything. You've asked questions on this particular project. So at this particular point, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion. I move that the Planning Commission recommends to affirm the categorical exemption EACE 2022-146 and adopt the attached resolution for SP 2022-011 to approve A, the construction of a new 6-story self-storage facility, and B, a reduced parking requirement through a parking demand study subject to 12 conditions and/or add conditions as deemed appropriate.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. We call for any questions? Before we call for that,
Just one, oh, go ahead.
Microphone, please.
Yes, we would like to provide that correction. There are 13 conditions.
Okay.
The agenda had a typo.
Oh, okay.
It's 13.
So
So
do
can
you want me
you
to go back over
yes,
the
please.
motion?
Can you go
Okay.
over the motion again?
Okay, I move that the Planning Commission recommend to affirm the categorical exemption EACE 2022-146 and adopt the attached resolution for SP 2022-011 to approve A, the construction of a new 6-story self-storage facility, and B, a reduced parking requirement through a parking demand study subject to 13 conditions and/or add conditions as deemed appropriate.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. We're going to call for any questions. My question has to do with the parking structure, the parking, the study.
Yes, it says parking demand study. as well.
Parking demand study. Can you clarify that for me, please? The parking demand study?
The parking demand study is what the applicant submitted, looking at other storage facilities in the area to substantiate their reduced parking request.
Okay, Mr. Penn, there's a motion on the floor, but this is a question period. But my question to you would be, can we put something on the motion to eliminate not the 46, but add to the 46? In other words, can we say it needs to be 60? Mr. Penn. Mr. Pans.
Are you asking to make a amendment?
Yes, make an amendment, yes.
You can make a motion and then
Okay.
see if there's a vote for it.
Okay.
Just so we're clarifying, and thank you, Mike. So there's a motion on the floor.
There is a
I'm
motion on the floor.
parliamentarian for a bunch of organizations. So there's a motion on the floor. Got a second, belongs to the body. You can make a motion, an amendment to the motion. It needs a second, needs to be voted on, then it'll be grafted into the original motion. And then that motion will be amended, and that becomes the new motion. So you would have to make that motion.
Motion before we
to
make a
amend.
vote.
You have to make the motion, has to be seconded, it has to be voted on.
Before we
it goes
vote on
back to
the-
the original motion, correct?
Yes. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we increase the parking from 46 to 60 parking spaces.
And that's an amendment,
That
not
is
a
an
motion.
amendment. I'd like to make an amendment to the original motion. That was your motion, Commissioners.
Is there a
It's-
second?
It has to be a
Has to
second
be
for it.
seconded.
I made,
You need a second on the
You need
motion.
a second for it to become.
okay, it dies for no second. Okay. Okay, we call for the vote.
Commissioner Patrick,
Yes, yeah.
Aye.
Commissioner Rice,
No.
Commissioner Trejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Springs, Chairman Springs.
No. Ms. Wilcox,
Yes, Chairman.
Motion passes.
the motion passes.
3-2.
And Chairman, according to the Inglewood Municipal Code, this decision can be appealed within 20 days from the Notice of Planning Commission action by filing a written notification to the Planning Division, submitting an appeal fee of $942, at which time the file will be transmitted to the City Council for their consideration.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have a meeting here, so we have another one. So, Madam Secretary, can you give us our next?
A public hearing to consider an application by Winston Liu for a zoning code amendment to allow automated car wash facilities in the MU-C, which is mixed-use corridor zone, as standalone uses, not ancillary to a service station.
And Chairman Springs and Commission, the file is present and notice has been given in the form and manner as required by law. Staff received no correspondence from the public on this item, and Assistant Planner Christine Rivera is present to do a short staff presentation.
Good evening, Chairman Springs and members of the Commission. In December of 2021, the Crenshaw Imperial TOD Plan and Design Guidelines was adopted and established the MUC zone. Currently, the MUC zone only permits automated car washes ancillary to service stations with a special use permit. In January 2023, an application was submitted by Winston Liu for a code amendment to permit automated car washes in the MUC zone, as they are currently unpermitted in the zone, and the site he is representing is a standalone car wash in the MUC zone of the Crenshaw Imperial TOD. The proposed amendment before you would apply to the MUC zone in all adopted TOD plans within the city. And this is not a site-specific zoning code amendment, it is only for the MUC zone. To give you an idea of where the MUC zones are located, in the Crenshaw Imperial TOD plan, it can be seen in bright pink and can be found on the north and south sides of Imperial Highway. In the downtown TOD plan, it can be seen in the peach color and can be found on the east side of La Brea Avenue, and it can be seen on the east and west side of Centinela Avenue. And finally, in the Westchester TOD plan, it can be seen in the light pink and can be found on the north and south sides of Manchester Boulevard. Staff conducted a survey of 7 cities within Los Angeles County. We looked at their requirements for car washes, including if an SUP was required and hours of operation. Of the 7 cities, all 7 required SUPs, and 4 cities regulated the hours of operation. Based on staff's analysis, it was determined that permitting and conditioning automated car wash facilities in the MUC zone would provide an added benefit to residents and visitors. Therefore, staff proposes the following changes to the Inglewood Municipal Code for the MUC zone only. This includes a special use permit required. It will allow the city to mitigate, eliminate, or prevent adverse effects by the use if permitted. A minimum lot size of 26,000 square feet. This will allow the city to maintain a general lot size and prevent car washes from being permitted in small lots that may be closer to residential zones. Hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. This will allow the city to prevent any early morning or late night noise concerns. And when adjacent to residential uses, vacuum equipment must be at a minimum 50 feet away from any R-zone property. This will once again allow the city to mitigate any noise concern when a car wash is located near residential areas. And finally, a definition for automated car wash facility to be added to the Inglewood Municipal Code. The proposed amendment is consistent with the general plan, the TOD goals, active transportation plan, and environmental and climate action plan. A notice of exemption has been filed, stating the proposed project is exempt from further environmental review and no public comments have been received. This concludes my presentation and I am available to answer any questions. The applicant is also present tonight to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We're going to open up questions. Commissioner Patrick?
I haven't any questions, thank you.
Commissioner Rice?
Can you go back to the map where we can see where the MU zones are?
Sure. So this is the Crenshaw Imperial TOD. And it would be the light pink color.
Maybe I missed it, but I didn't get the benefit of that map in my package, did we?
Oh, the maps weren't in the staff report.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little slower then. Can you tell me the distance, what streets those are?
Sure. So in the Crenshaw Imperial, it is a little west of Yukon Avenue to the east, and then a little east of Limoli Avenue.
Ole to, on both sides of the street.
Correct. North and south side.
That's almost Crenshaw to Yukon, would say, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the other area?
So this is the downtown TOD plan. So it's kind of the peach color. La Brea right here. It is a little north of Juniper Street and south at Beach Avenue. And then if you look at the peach color on Centinela, from Hyde Park Place to La Colina Road, not including the park.
All the way to Florence, where La Colina Road is. Just that
Close to
one side
Florence.
where the senior citizen housing is. Okay.
And then in the Westchester TOD, it is on Manchester Boulevard, the pinkish color. On the north and south sides from Ash Avenue to, on the east side, Inglewood Avenue.
And Ash is, what about 4 or 5 blocks west of La Brea?
Maybe.
It's right before you get on the freeway.
Oh, it's the other one.
At
So
Ash.
Inglewood
Yeah,
Avenue.
Ash.
Oh,
Ash.
That's right. Inglewood
Yeah.
Avenue and then the 405
Ash
freeway.
is that
Trying to
last
get my
piece
bearings
before
in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have another one, or that's it?
That's it. So there's 3 TODs.
And all those areas we're proposing to allow them to put in a car wash.
With the certain limitations, so a special use permit required.
So they would still have to come back to this body.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Trio?
I like the idea of limitations, but on your hours of operation, you put just the hours. Are you going to put the days? Like, is it Sunday to Sunday?
I think it
Saturday
would
to
be
Sunday?
7 days a week.
7 days a
Yeah.
week?
Mhm.
Okay, I think that should be added just for clarification.
Okay.
And then I think I'd like to see a distance requirement 500 feet, that they can't be any closer than 500 feet to each other?
From one car wash location to another.
Correct.
Okay.
So they can meet that before even coming, they have to meet that before even coming for a special use permit.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw Williams?
I have no questions, thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment I want to make. We're looking at a car wash to wash cars. But then we don't want to have any parking spaces for the cars. Just throwing that out there.
That's what we'll address, I think, when special use permit. May I comment on that?
No, we're not going to comment on that. We'll comment on it at the end. I just wanted to make I wanted to make that statement. That's my question. We're building car washes, but then we don't want to have a parking place for those cars. Okay. If the applicant is here, can you come, give us your name, tell us about this proposal that you have?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Tom Lau, the architect.
Talking to the mic?
With up high, right? By the way.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Planning Commissioner and also the Chair. My name is Tom Lau, the architect. Winston Liu is my partner. Actually, this facility has been there for years. It is existing. And the family, they have been doing business in city of Inglewood. And when they approach us, to upgrade their facility, we were so shocked that, they have been in the city for so long. And they love the location and they love to serve the communities. That's why, they come forward, trying to upgrade the facility so they can serve better to the surrounding areas. Now, I believe the municipal code, there's a certain parking requirement for car wash, and we do have that also, and also in part of our designs. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I'm going to open up questions for you, so don't leave. We're going to start off with Commissioner Patrick.
I may have missed it. We're discussing a zoning code amendment to permit automated car wash facilities in MU-C areas. Are we talking about a certain number? Is there a maximum number of car washes, automated car washes at this point that we're discussing, or we're just doing the zoning code amendment?
There's no maximum currently proposed in the ordinance language, no.
Okay. So it's just okay. I haven't any questions. Thank you. Any more questions?
Commissioner Rice.
I want to make sure I got your name correctly, Mr.
Tom Lau, L-A-U.
Lau. You talked about the owner that you met. It's a specific case. Is this?
Tracy. Is it Tracy or Nicole? I call her Nicole. The daughters.
One more time?
Tracy? Yeah.
So let me ask you the question another way. Do you have a specific project that you're wanting to have this entire code changed for the city for the MU zones for? Are you working for a specific property?
Yes, for this property, yes.
The request is just a code amendment, not property specific. The code does not allow new standalone or any standalone car wash facilities, only as ancillary to service station currently. And so the request was put forward to allow a standalone facility. We do anticipate that the owner of an existing facility would then, if it's approved, apply for a special use permit to get approval. But at this time, the request before you is just a code amendment related to the MUC zone.
Okay, understood. I'm with the Commissioner Trio in a way as far as distances are concerned. And if we can go back to the map, it looks like all the distances are, for the MU zones are pretty much the same distance. So would we say that's 2,000 feet? Like maybe to me. Reason I'm asking that question is if we allow car washes to come in, that's 2,000 feet. We can put 4 on that one street as long as we keep them 500 feet apart. I don't want car washes coming in and cannibalizing one another.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
So
that's why
since
it's subject to a special use permit. So the point of that is that every car wash, if it's 500, assuming that the commission agrees that the 500-foot separation is reasonable, then that would be the criteria by which they come before you. And when they come before you, you'll be looking at all of those issues of overconcentration, those issues of circulation, all the issues related to land use at that point in time.
what I'm trying to do is at this point avoid them coming before us, or time is limited and with lots of projects coming before within the city. And if it's something we're going to deny because of an overconcentration, we can avoid that by setting that linear footage right now is to say 1,000, 1,500 square feet, linear feet. You can't have another like facility.
Correct.
That's what-
So whatever number the commission decides to select is the number that the commission will select. 500, 400, 300, 1,000, 1,500, that's your determination.
From what I'm looking at right now, I'll call it at about 2,000 linear feet. Okay? All right. Fair enough. Thank you.
Ms. Trio. Question to the applicant.
No, I think that Mr. Jackson responded to, or my question, at least that I had in my head, was apparently Mr. Lau is thinking that this is going to affect him. Is that apparently? I think that there's some backstory that we don't know, and because Mr. Lau is, I think, assuming that this is going to affect him. I don't know, and that's part of my question. And then if we do the amendment, will car washes that are affected, do they get grandfathered in, or do they have to go through the special use permit?
A couple things. One, there's always confusion when an applicant comes up and they want to do something and then it requires the code to change, right? So they're coming forward because they want to do something on their property or with their site. The only way to do that is to make modifications to the code. So we look at them and we tell them, no, you can't do what it is that you're requesting right now because the code does not permit it. Then they go, well, what can we do? Well, you could request a modification to the code. Here's what you need to do. And if it's approved, then you could be considered at that particular time. So we explain that to all of the applicants when they're coming forward, but there's always a bit of a confusion in there because their mindset is only on their particular project. Staff has to look at it holistically. So we're looking at it in terms of how it affects the entire city. So one of the reasons why the planner indicated that this has effect on all the MUC and showed you the maps was to show you that this particular, we could not simply address their property without addressing everybody else's property equally throughout the city. And then also, this doesn't obviously, let's just assume best case scenario for them that this amendment gets approved by you. It still goes to city council. City council still needs to, weigh in on it and make a determination. Then it still needs to become codified before they can even apply for it. Now, going back to the situation of those car washes that are in the MUC zone now, they're legal non-conforming, as I understand. Now, so those car washes are there, they can maintain, but they can't be expanded beyond what they have in their capacity right now. I mean, there's, obviously you can do things because, maintenance-wise, but no expansions to that. So they could continue to operate unrestricted other than what the standards apply for now. So did that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Shaw Williams.
No, I don't have any questions. My concern, and I agree with Commissioner Trejo and Commissioner Rice, there definitely needs to be a distant requirement, and I do like the idea of anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 feet being amended into the recommendation. No further questions.
Okay, my question would be, Commissioner Wright, did you say 2,000 feet?
Approximately. The
Approximately.
distance that most of the blocks are.
Okay. All right. I have no.
So from the pink to the pink is what, 2,000 approximately?
Microphone.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So pink to the pink is approximate, I don't know how else to describe it, is about 2,000. So if we do 500, potentially we could get 4 in there. If we do 1,000, we'll do 2.
So let's do the 1,000.
Let's do it. I'll go along with 1,000.
Okay.
And just want to clarify, would it be a distance separation for the automated car washes within the MUC zones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As opposed to other distance separations we have in the code where it's just distance separation between any other
Okay.
related use in the city.
Well, can we incorporate, since we're only dealing with MUC, can we incorporate the 1,000 for car washes in the other zones? I would like.
That would actually be a benefit to you to do that, because if there is a car wash in another zone, in that 1,000-foot distance that we're talking about now, it would apply.
Okay,
So that
thank
would be
you,
a
thank you.
further limitation.
Yeah, thank you, Mindy, for bringing that up. Yes, I go along with 1,000.
Let's do all, and I know we're talking about car washes that are just independently there and not ancillary to a service station or anything like that. However, for us and for the community, a car wash is a car wash. So we have a car wash there at Imperial and Lamoli now. And then there's another car wash, I believe, in that station at Imperial and Prairie. So on that one block, we have 2 car washes already. So if we say it has to be standalone car wash, then we're going to exempt other car washes that may have other ancillary operations going on within those car washes. So we should have to say all car washes, that there has to be a distance of 500,000 or 1,500 square feet for a car wash in all districts.
The applicant has sat down, so thank you, sir. We're discussing, don't leave.
Yeah. One of the things we're discussing.
Yes, we are discussing.
Is the applicant came forward believing that his request and modification was going to help him be able to apply for a special use permit. What we're talking about now may not allow him to do that. So I was just asking staff to confirm whether or not we had any conflict with that distance requirement, where the applicant would essentially be pushing forward an amendment that would not serve them. So that's the quandary we're in with the distance requirement.
We have a backstory here that we're not privy to. So we're trying to make a decision without knowing where the applicant's location is. We're not trying to harm him.
I think
We're
this is
interested in
more an
assisting.
issue, Commissioner, of whether or not we should continue the matter to address that issue,
I think,
or whether we should act on the matter today.
I think we should continue.
I think we clearly understand what direction you're going in. I
Yes.
think we hear you loudly. And I think it would be probably more beneficial to come back to you and let you know unless Mindy's determined that. Have you determined?
No, I can't tell definitively where the nearest car washes are.
And so perhaps with a continuance, we could return with a map of all the car washes.
Mhm.
Good idea.
We'll identify their location and we'll know clearly what the impact
Okay.
is going to be.
So we would let the applicant know as well?
Yeah,
Will you indicate which ones are ancillary and which ones are not?
we'll only show the ones that are affected by what the code.
Okay.
Correction, in our staff report, we do identify the existing car washes of all types. So with that, we can try to determine the closest to determine if 1,000, Because I think essentially because this is an applicant presented code amendment, the applicant could agree with the recommendation, or the planning commission could deviate from what the applicant requested, and either way, it goes to the city council for consideration.
I think we should be
Yeah,
able to do it
that's,
here.
that's correct, but I think in fairness to the applicant, I
Yes.
would want to be able to say to them,
Save him and let's do it here.
where this thing is going is not going where
I agree.
you thought. And so we'll come back, but we'll come back with better information and be able to address this, the
Absolutely.
dynamics of
I
this
agree.
situation.
I agree with you, Mr. Jackson. So you'll let the applicant know, correct? Okay, very good. So, Mr. Wu? Stand by. They're going to talk to you. Don't leave, okay?
And we need a motion to continue to the next.
Is there a motion on the floor to continue?
I move that we continue zoning code amendment ZCA 23-00001 to the next. Is that enough time? To the okay.
May
to-
3rd.
To the May 3rd Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. We're calling for any questions? Hearing none, we call for a vote.
Commissioner Patrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Rice,
Aye.
Commissioner Trejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw Williams,
Aye.
Chairman Springs.
Aye. So it will be continued, sir, and you'll be notified. Okay. All right. Thank you, commissioners, for that. I guess that Philadelphia trip paid off, huh? Okay, Madam Secretary?
That's it?
That's it? We have one more.
No.
That's it?
Oh, the design review?
Good design review.
Okay. He's leaving.
Oh, they're coming back.
A non-public hearing to consider an application by Judy Lee for design review number 2022-014, DR 2022-014, to allow the construction of a new 6-story, approximately 335,000 square foot self-storage facility on an approximately 72,000 square foot M-1L limited manufacturing zone property at 3846 West Century Boulevard.
Chairman Springs and Commission, the file is present and notice has been given in the form and manner as required by law. Staff received no correspondence from the public on this item. And as mentioned before, the presentation was given when the special use permit came before you, but staff is available for any follow-up questions you might have regarding the design review, and the applicant is present as well. Oh, staff is not going to be giving a presentation because he covered all the material during the special use permit.
We're standing there waiting on something.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
Angels looking
Sorry
at
about
us
that.
like, okay, I'm opening up for questions. You have any questions, commissioners? Commissioner Patrick?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Rice?
No questions.
Commissioner Trail?
No question.
Commissioner Shaw Williams?
I have no questions.
I have no questions either. Okay, we're gonna call, is there a motion on the floor?
I motion and recommend that the Planning Commission affirm the categorical exemption EACE 2022146 and, excuse me, and adopt the attached resolution approving DR 2022014, subject to 8 conditions and/or conditions as deemed appropriate.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions? Hearing none, We call for our vote.
Commissioner Patrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Rice,
No.
Commissioner Trejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw Williams,
Aye.
Chairman Springs.
No. Has been approved. Ms. Wilcox?
Yes, Chairman. According to the Inglewood Municipal Code, this decision can be appealed within 10 days from the notice of Planning Commission action by the applicant only, and by filing a written notification to the Planning Division and submitting an appeal fee of $389, at which time the file will be transmitted to the City Council for their consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay. You guys got your plan review? Got it approved? All right, at this particular point, we're gonna have, I want to change it around if I could. I want to do public comments first, and then we'll do commissioners' initiatives. So, public comments, anyone wishing to address the Planning Commission on any matters within their jurisdictions and not elsewhere considered on the agenda may do so at this time. Hearing, seeing none, we're going to close this segment, and we're going to open it up for commissioners' initiatives. I think we have some photographs too, right?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Full disclosure, I want to make sure I was looking proper and decent, in these photographs. 'Cause-
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay, these are okay.
So far. That's right. Do I give my comments while we're?
I really like that picture, you guys.
I did.
That's a good-looking group of people. Okay, we're going to leave that picture up, and then we're going to start our commissioners' initiatives. We're going to start off with Patrick, Commissioner Patrick.
Wait, I don't want to get emotional and I don't want to laugh. Good evening. Friends are people that know all about you, your ups, your downs, your highs, your lows, and they like you anyway. I'd like to thank everyone for being my friend. That trip to Philadelphia was unlike anything I have ever done in my 75 years. And I have been to many, many, many conferences. I was assisted throughout the entire trip by friends. I can't thank everyone individually. See, I'll get emotional because we don't have that kind of time for me to thank everyone for the love, the attention, and the thoughts that were extended to me during that time. Well, truthfully, there is a saying, and I learned that to be true, that there definitely is no I in team. I'd like to thank all of you, and you can pass these down, just as a little memento of my appreciation.
Thank you.
And I didn't forget the most important people of all, and that's the staff. And I'd like to say thank you for all the times that you listen to me and I call you up when my proofreading abilities have kicked in. But it was just a fabulous trip. And I can continue to say thank you, thank you, thank you, but it will never, ever be enough from the bottom of my heart. I could go on and I could make you laugh about some of the things like our trip to the airport. That was a trip to, but David, every time I think of it, I think of it fondly, and I laugh and I cry. I can't even tell you, you're such a wonderful group of individuals, and I don't think there are any people, any place that feel the way I do about you. Thank you very much. No I in team, and don't make me cry. It was a wonderful trip. Thank you.
Commissioner Rice?
And we laugh and we cry tears of joy with you. We really enjoyed ourselves on that trip. Please, every year, Chris, Mindy, put something together like this. I applaud you and the rest of the team. Excellent, excellent job. One more comment with reference to opportunity. In many cases, we have projects that come before us that, well, we have projects that don't come before us that by right, different applicants can do different things because it's in the city code that says they can. And we have projects that come before us, and by right, we can insist that they adhere to the code that's on the books. Because by right, we can ask them to provide this and provide that, and you can't reduce that. This is an absolutely fabulous city to come to. I think if we insist that our codes are enforced as much as we possibly can, and we don't have a real justified reason for someone to reduce the standards of our code outside of monetary benefits, I think we should really consider, by rights, exercising our rights. But that's it on that.
Commissioner Trio?
First off, thank you very much to our planning leaders, Chris and Mindy, and for our planning commissioners. It was absolutely a marvelous time in Philadelphia. We went through sitting in different sessions, touring the city, having lots of ice cream, including Mr. Softy, being almost accosted by a homeless person who had her hands in her pockets, and David pulled me away. And I, to this day, think that he saved my life. And that's the feeling that my husband had as I was relaying the story. Thank you, David. I'm here because of David. So we absolutely went through everything that a person can possibly go through. We had issues with checking in. We all got through that. I personally didn't try the Philly cheesesteak. I looked at them, but I somehow, I couldn't bring myself to eat that, but I made up for it with the ice cream. But it was a fabulous trip. I love the public transit portion of it because we saw a little bit more than kind of like walking. Marketplace was absolutely fabulous, and I hope to somehow at least come close to replicating it when ours in Inglewood is open. But we truly are friends, and we're family. We can agree, we can disagree, we can agree to disagree, and still get things done for the city. We all have different viewpoints, but we still remain friends, and I thank every one of you for that. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw Williams?
I too want to thank everyone involved in planning our trip to Philly. It was fantastic. You know, you can't travel with everyone. At least I can't. I have a small group that I travel with, and it's usually my husband and my sister. And you guys, I will go anywhere with this group of people. I had an amazing time. Now, I didn't have the Philly steak sandwich, and there's a reason for that, because I think it's good that I didn't have it because we can go back. I love all you guys. You know, you guys are just fabulous. And You know, coming into this position, may he rest in peace, Terry Coleman, I was apprehensive. I just didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I know I love my city, and I know I wanted to make an impact on my city, and you guys just welcomed me wholeheartedly, and I appreciate that so much. And again, thank you.
Well, I'm gonna make mine. I want to say something before I say about the trip, if I could.
Oh, the flight, Chairman.
My initiatives are a couple of things that are happening in First District. You know, I know that Fifth Avenue is a main thoroughfare that they can go from Century all the way to Manchester. So I want to see, and what they've done is they paved the street from Century to Hardy. But from Hardy to Manchester, they haven't done anything. We have potholes. I see if we can address those potholes. And if we can't address them, then I think we should put some money away for front wheel alignments for people, you know, that kind of thing, because they're really deep potholes. There's a property at 9800 that has vehicles parked on the lawn. I'd like to see if we can get somebody to go out there and take a look at that. And 9300 Fifth Avenue, the tree has actually have risen the sidewalk. If we can have somebody go and take a look at that as well. That's at 9300 Fifth Avenue. Yes. There's vehicles, has to be, it must be a used car lot or a repair shop. That's what he's doing, repairing vehicles. Okay. And now, I love, this is the very first time I've ever gone to Philadelphia. I never went there. It was a true experience for me. I didn't have a problem getting there. I had a direct flight. I didn't have a layover. I got my room in time. And I think I got somebody hating on me because I did. But
Of course not.
but it was great. I think the marketplace was really terrific. I did have a Philly cheesesteak. I enjoyed it. I think I was telling some people that are from the East Coast, and they were telling me where did I go, and I told them where I had gone, and they said, "Oh, that's not really a Philly cheesesteak. You need to have gone." And they named another place. I said, "Well, I didn't go." So, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed Mr. Jackson, Miss Wilcox, Miss Patricia, Mr. David, Miss Hyde. I was trying to get that name together, and I messed it up really bad. Miss Hyde and Miss Cheryl. Those people were great. And if we could have taken a video of the entire trip, you guys would have got mad at us. You want to be there with us. We just had a real good time. And it was just about family, because now we're a family. And sometimes and we have arguments, but we still love each other. And it turned out really good. I would do it again. I would go with these guys anywhere. I would. And I'm going to be like, tears come to my eyes because it was such a lovely time. I tried to get my jokes in, and they wasn't listening to me.
He writes them down. He writes them down.
I had my jokes written down.
He had a little book. Page 5.
So I enjoyed the trip, and I look forward to going on trips with these guys again. No question. I would go to the end with you guys. I really would. I really would. You guys are great. Even when you come here, even though some of the votes I don't think are good, but that's okay too. I love you guys. And lastly, Mr. Jackson, I have to see you after the meeting. And the picture speaks 1,000 words. the guy in the back with the bow tie,
Oh, yeah.
they thought he was bean pies, okay?
In Philly.
But it was a good trip. And thank you guys very much for putting it together for us. Bernard, you should have been there. It was great. Good trip. If there's nothing else,
I think next trip you need a concierge. I'm just putting it out there. There you go.
okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.
Coke and